If I woke up tomorrow as a 25-year-old with no fortune, no reputation, and no special advantages, I would not be worried. In fact, I would be excited because the greatest investment opportunities in history are not hidden inside stock markets, business schools, or secret networks. They are hidden inside ordinary habits that almost nobody is willing to practice consistently. Most people believe wealth starts with money. They're wrong. Wealth starts with decisions, and the decisions you make in your 20s can echo through the next 50 years of your life. I have often said, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. The question is simple. What trees are you planting right now? Because whether you realize it or not, your future is already being built by the choices you make today. If I were 25 years old in today's world, with all its distractions, opportunities, and challenges, there are 5 things I would focus on relentlessly. 5 principles that could completely change the trajectory of a young person's life. And if you understand them, you may never look at success, money, or your future the same way again. People often look at Warren Buffett and see billions of dollars, but that is not the real lesson. The real lesson is how those billions were created, not through luck, not through shortcuts, not through chasing trends, but through simple ideas repeated consistently over time. Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Think about that. Success is often less about what you do and more about what you refuse to do. Today, we're going to explore 5 things Warren Buffett would focus on if he were starting over at age 25. These lessons are not only about money, they are about building a life of freedom, purpose, and long-term success. Thing 1, become an obsessed learner. If I were 25 today, the first thing I would do is become obsessed with learning. Not casually interested, obsessed. Warren Buffett famously spends much of his day reading. He once said, "The more you learn, the more you earn." At first glance, that sounds simple, but most people completely miss the deeper meaning. Learning is not just about increasing income. Learning changes the way you see opportunities. Imagine 2 people walking down the same street. One sees nothing special. The other sees a business opportunity, an investment idea, or a solution to a problem. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is knowledge. Knowledge changes what you notice. Buffett also said, "Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing." Think about how many people make decisions without understanding the consequences. They buy things they don't need. They take on debt they don't understand. They follow advice from people who have never achieved the results they want. Then they wonder why life becomes difficult. Knowledge reduces risk. Knowledge creates options. Knowledge builds confidence. When Buffett was young, he spent countless hours reading annual reports, studying businesses, and learning from great investors. Most people were looking for entertainment. He was building an advantage. The lesson is powerful. If you spend 1 hour every day learning valuable skills, reading great books, and studying successful people, you are building an asset that nobody can take away from you. Markets can crash. Jobs can disappear. Economies can change. But knowledge compounds. And just like money, the earlier you start, the more powerful the results become. Ask yourself, what am I learning today that will make me more valuable 5 years from now? Because if you cannot answer that question, you may be drifting instead of growing. If I were 25 today, the second thing I would do is learn how to say no. Not occasionally, constantly. Because in today's world, distraction is everywhere. Every app wants your attention. Every notification wants your focus. Every trend wants your participation. But Warren Buffett understood something most people never learn. He said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. That quote is far more powerful than it appears. Most people think success comes from adding more projects, more commitments, more responsibilities, more opportunities. But success often comes from subtraction. Imagine you are trying to build a skyscraper. Would you start by throwing random materials onto the construction site? Of course not. You would follow a blueprint. Yet many people live their lives exactly that way. They accept every invitation. They chase every opportunity. They follow every trend. And then they wonder why they never make meaningful progress. Buffett's life is an example of extreme focus. Despite becoming one of the richest people on earth, he kept his life remarkably simple. Why? Because he understood that attention is one of the most valuable assets a person possesses. Every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Say yes to endless scrolling. You say no to reading. Say yes to unnecessary spending. You say no to investing. Say yes to distractions. You say no to your future. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not necessarily more talented. They are simply more focused. If I were 25 today, I would create a simple rule. Before committing to anything, I would ask, does this move me closer to the life I want? If the answer is no, I would walk away, because every successful life is built one decision at a time, and every powerful decision begins with knowing what deserves your attention. Thing 3. Think long-term while everyone else thinks short-term. One of Warren Buffett's greatest advantages has never been intelligence. It has been patience. Buffett once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." That quote perfectly explains how wealth is created. Most people want immediate results. They want quick success, quick money, quick recognition, quick rewards. But life rarely works that way. Imagine two people. The first person spends every dollar they earn. The second person invests part of every paycheck. 10 years later, their lives look completely different. Not because one got lucky, but because one thought long-term. Buffett also said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." This lesson applies far beyond investing. It applies to careers, relationships, health, business, personal development. The world rewards consistency far more than intensity. A person who exercises for 20 minutes every day for 10 years will outperform someone who trains obsessively for 1 month and then quits. A person who reads 10 pages a day will eventually finish hundreds of books. Small actions repeated consistently become extraordinary results. If I were 25 today, I would stop asking, "How can I get rich quickly?" and start asking, "How can I become unstoppable over the next 20 years?" That single shift in thinking can completely change your future. Because long-term thinking gives you something most people never develop: an unfair advantage. While everyone else is chasing immediate gratification, you are quietly building a life that becomes stronger every year. Thing 4. Invest in yourself before investing anywhere else. If I were 25 today, the fourth thing I would do is make myself the most valuable asset I own. Warren Buffett once said, "The best investment you can make is in yourself." Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say the best investment is a stock, or a business, or real estate. He said yourself. Why? Because your skills determine your opportunities. Your knowledge determines your decisions. Your habits determine your future. Buffett also famously said, "The most important investment you can make is in yourself." Every skill you develop becomes a tool you can use for the rest of your life. Communication, leadership, sales, critical thinking, problem solving. These skills create opportunities that money alone cannot buy. Imagine two people. One receives $100,000. The other develops the ability to create $100,000 every year. Who is wealthier? The answer is obvious. Money can disappear. Skills stay with you. When Buffett was young, he feared public speaking. It terrified him, yet he invested in learning that skill. That single decision dramatically improved his ability to communicate ideas and influence people. The lesson is simple. The highest return investment often isn't found on a stock exchange. It's found in the mirror. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every lesson you learn adds value to the person you become. And that value compounds for decades. Thing 5. Choose your circle carefully. If I were 25 today, the fifth thing I would do is become extremely selective about the people around me. Because success is contagious, and so is failure. Buffett once said, "It is better to hang out with people better than you." Simple, but life-changing. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Do they encourage growth? Do they challenge you? Do they inspire you? Or do they constantly complain, make excuses, and settle for less? Your environment quietly shapes your future. Your standards often become the average of the people around you. Buffett also said, "You will move in the direction of the people you associate with." That is not philosophy. That is reality. If everyone around you believes success is impossible, eventually you start believing it too. If everyone around you values growth, learning, and discipline, those habits become normal. Charlie Munger once said, "Spend each day trying to be a little wiser than you were when you woke up." That becomes much easier when you surround yourself with wise people. The truth is that your future is often hidden inside your friendships. Choose them carefully, because the people around you can either accelerate your growth or quietly limit your potential. If Warren Buffett were 25 years old today, he probably would not focus on getting rich quickly. He would focus on building the foundation that eventually makes wealth inevitable. First, he would become obsessed with learning. Second, he would master the ability to say no. Third, he would think long-term while others chase shortcuts. Fourth, he would invest heavily in himself. And fifth, he would carefully choose the people around him. These principles are simple, but simple does not mean easy. The challenge is not understanding them. The challenge is living them consistently. Warren Buffett once said, "Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." Think about that. Your future is being built by your daily habits, not your intentions, not your wishes, not your goals, your habits. The decisions you make today may seem small, but they are creating the person you will become 10 years from now. Start planting the right seeds. Start building the right habits. Start becoming the person your future self will thank you for becoming. If you enjoyed this video and want more timeless lessons on wealth, financial freedom, success habits, psychology, and personal growth inspired by Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, and history's greatest thinkers, subscribe to Wealth Wisdom. And remember, the best time to start building your future was years ago.